Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's TJ Jones, and welcome to episode number 3 of the Therapy Couch podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Shouts out to everybody listening, no matter what platform you choose to listen on. This is the third edition of the episode, like I mentioned, and this is a podcast that focuses on mental health and mental wealth, man. So if you're into that type of stuff, sit back, relax, and enjoy. All right. We're very interactive, very similar to what we do on other podcasts and sites. But I do have a special guest with me here today or this evening, whenever you're checking out this podcast. A co-worker of mine, someone that has been in broadcasting for quite some time, and who I consider a really good friend and probably one of the best voices that you ever go hear on broadcast. My good friend Tori. What's going on, Tori? How you doing?
Hi, TJ.
Yeah, how you doing? Hey, I'm just being honest, man. Like you got the best voice, like at Radio Baha'i as far as, far as like delivery and stuff like that. I think you got the best voice in the business. But I may be being biased, but thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate you being a part of the Therapy for Couch podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And thank you. That's an awesome compliment. I've been doing radio for 22 years. So it took a while for me to get to the point where I didn't sound like I'm reading all the time.
Man.
But I've been in the game for 22 years. I started at 24, and I'm now 45.
Okay, well, you've been in the game for a minute. I
Yeah.
know it take a while to perfect that type of craft, man. I'm still looking for that perfect episode in the afternoons, but
there's never going to be a perfect episode, never.
Yeah.
You just continue to perfect your craft.
Yeah.
And when you love what you do, it comes naturally. You do an amazing job.
Oh man, I try to do what I can do when I can do it, but
you do an amazing job.
I appreciate that. But on the Therapy Couch, like I mentioned, this podcast is focused on mental health and mental wealth. We talk a little bit about some of the things that people go through. The topic of this episode is about loving yourself, finding love for yourself, and I thought that it was necessary because you have a lot of people out here that are givers. People that give a whole lot of themselves to other things, and they don't take the time out to really look at themselves first. I hear people all the time talk about how my family needs me, my brother, my sister, my cousin, my friend, they all need me, and they end up neglecting themselves. And I had a story a little bit about neglecting myself. I think it kind of stems from the first episode when I talked about my battles with self-esteem as a kid. And when I became an adult, I still dealt with the same thing. I had more love for others than I had for myself because I don't think I had an appreciation for myself. Maybe it was the fact that I didn't consider myself good looking, or the fact that I allowed some of those things, that I heard as a kid, it kind of followed me as an adult, and I really didn't have a lot of love for myself. What are your thoughts on individuals that need to find love and choose to love others more so than looking at themselves?
Well, this is actually the perfect topic because I'm a huge giver. I myself am still learning because I've always put others before myself. And to be honest with you, I'm trusting the process because I'm learning that all the love that I have given to others, I can pour it into myself. And to be honest with you, TJ, I'm just learning this. I may be like 2 or 3 months in because it got to the point where I was giving so much of myself to people that it was depleting myself and I was getting sick. So I'm learning that I have to pour into myself. But here's the thing, a lot of times, well, I can only speak from my personal experience. Because I'm a giver, because I genuinely love people, whenever people reach out to me, whether they're going through things or they need something, I'm the type of person, if I have it, it's yours. If I can help you, I'm going to help you. And I don't like confusion. So I try to be the peacemaker all the time.
Right.
But sometimes I'm learning that you don't have to answer every text, you don't
Right.
have to answer every call.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person, I like to push people when it comes to, like, say I have friends that start in business. I have friends that are writing books.
Right.
I'm that type of person. If you invite me to your event, I want to be there.
Right.
But I'm learning it's okay to say no. And no is a complete sentence. You don't necessarily have to give an explanation.
Right.
If I wasn't able to make it, I always felt the need to explain myself. No is a complete sentence. You
Right.
don't have to explain yourself if you don't feel always obligated to go. And then another thing that I'm learning, that a lot of times people that you show up for all the time,
Right.
they don't show up for you. So
Yeah.
you got to think about that as well. I was showing up for people that wasn't showing up for me.
Right.
So I now realize it's time to show up for Tori, because I was just showing up for everybody. Nobody was returning, it wasn't being reciprocated, so to
Right.
speak.
Yeah.
So you gotta take that. It's necessary for you to take that time. Take that time for yourself. It's
Yeah.
absolutely necessary. So
Yeah.
I encourage people to choose a day out of the week to pamper yourself. And now something that I started doing probably about a year ago is, my birthday is September the 10th, and it's the 10th day of September.
Right.
So what I do once a month, because I celebrate my birthday on the 10th, every 10th day of each month, I celebrate me.
That's a
And
good,
I celebrate myself all
good
year
approach.
round. So
That's a
that's
good
something
approach.
that you guys could do, or just pamper yourself once a week. It's necessary.
Right. Yeah, it is necessary. You got to put yourself first, regardless to what you decide to do. I got my son right here with me. But yeah, you got to be able to find some love for yourself. I said this before as well. My mom told me that you got to take a moment to, like, just focus on you. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you spent all your money on bills, or, and you would just have about $1 just for a candy bar. So you got to make sure that you do something for yourself where you just don't neglect yourself. And like I said, I mentioned this before, the whole situation about growing up as a kid. I mean, I was a sucker, you know what I'm saying? Like, what people consider suckers, you know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I just was searching for something that I just thought that I had to just give out in order for me to receive. That includes, like, relationships that I had. Like, I had more love, and I felt like I was just happy to be with that person, you know what I'm saying? To be with the, individuals I dated, and they chose me, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, oh, I chose them. That didn't fathom in my mind, you know what I'm saying? Because I was like, I wanted to, like, pour all this level of appreciation. And, now, that I'm married, I got a level of understanding, about loving yourself first, because how can you possibly love your wife or love your husband or love your boyfriend or girlfriend and you have no love for yourself? How can you identify with love if you don't have that level of appreciation? So that's something that, I decided to do. And also just, I do, like, affirmations as well. Like, I think about, like, qualities that I have, that I try to make sure I reinforce. Because, being in broadcasting and doing podcasting, and, people commenting and looking at everything that you possibly do, it can get to you at times, and sometimes you second guess yourself, and your levels of self-esteem and confidence can go down. So I definitely use affirmations, little sticky notes and stuff like that to reassure myself, because sometimes, like, I don't care how strong you are. I mean, you can get caught slipping, like, there's the saying now, Tori, says you got to check on your strong friends,
Right.
because you got those individuals that know exactly what to say. Like, they give you some dope. I'm talking about, they give you so much dope information and dope advice. They should write a book about it. But when the lights go off at night, you know what I'm saying, they struggling themselves. If they're the strongest, then, you know what I'm saying, who's going to be strong for them if everybody expect for them to be strong?
Right.
So you got to be able to, like, have, you know what I'm saying, like, no matter how strong you are, you still got to have ways to kind of do a little tune-ups in your life as well. But I'm gonna go to some of the comments. Tori, we got some people that's in here right now.
Okay.
Shouts out to Chosen. Chosen says peace and love to you, to all y'all. Shouts out to you. We got Barbara in here. Says hello everyone. Mike, thank you so much for being here. We got Greg giving out a who that because we are streaming live on the State of the Saints. So I know a lot of people think that this is a podcast, but for the sports, but not this episode. All right, so. But you feel free to stay if you want, talk a little bit about, some of the things we're talking about, loving yourself. Slim South, thank you. Says, what up, family? And giving another who that. Let's see. You're going to cause me to have a breakdown, TJ. Well, that's definitely not the point of what we're trying to do here. What we're trying to do is help people to identify some of the issues that they have and be able to address them. And also, it's good to know that you're not alone in situations. Look, I'm a new parent, you know what I'm saying? And so is my wife. And some of the things that Paxton does, we're like, man, is he the only person that do this? And when you get into these groups, you're like, man, my son or my daughter doing this, and they're doing some of the same things that you can identify with. You're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, I'm not alone in this. So this isn't about trying to trigger anybody. This is about building people up. Because I'm telling you, like, from my own personal experience about some of the things that I endure. But this is in no way trying to trigger anybody. If we are, we're just trying to trigger individuals to wake up and identify some of the issues, and also give you ideas and stuff that can help you. Just want to let you know that. But Tori, you do a little bit of podcasting yourself. I mean, you talk about a lot of different things, so many different topics come up. Is podcasting like therapy for you? Like, is it therapy? Do you look at it as therapy, or do you look at it like, I'm doing this, but I also want to be of a service to a person, or is it both?
Actually, it's both. It's therapeutic as well as, for me personally, my podcast is called Keep the Faith with Tori. Yeah. And my podcast, basically, I like to always, when I do a podcast, I like to do things, and anything I do, I like to do it with purpose, because of course I'm a believer, and I like to do things with purpose, and I like to be intentional.
Yeah.
So not only is it therapeutic, but it's amazing to listen to so many stories, because you never know what people are going through.
Right.
And like, I share my story a lot, and like, even though, since we're talking on the subject of talking about self-love, I'll share my testimony, because I'm at a point now where I can talk about my story without getting emotional.
Right.
But I had, and that's why this podcast, this topic is very near and dear to my heart, because it's something that I struggle with as far as loving myself and feeling like I'm enough. Because I was molested at 7. I was raped at 19. And from that rape at 19 in college, I became pregnant. And because of how that came about, I chose to abort. And for a long time, I could not forgive myself for aborting, but mentally I felt like I could not carry a child from a rape. I just mentally, I wasn't able to do that. And once I found out that once I found out I was pregnant, I was suicidal. A lot of things happened to me mentally, and it just seemed like after I made the decision to abort, I started seeing babies everywhere, and I started asking myself, did I make the right decision? And even sometimes now, I wonder if I made the right decision, because I was encouraged by counselors on college campus, like, you can give this child up for adoption. But I was like, once I saw the child, would I be able to give that baby up? So I just decided to just abort. But sometimes I wish I hadn't. But at the same time, what's done is done. I have to forgive myself. And so that's what I have done. So because I was struggling with self-love for myself, I was pouring all of this love to everybody else. And because I was going through so much pain, I didn't want people to go through pain. And I'm still that way. I don't like to see people hurting. I don't like to see people crying. I don't like to see people upset. And I really, what really bothers me is when I see some children, you know how sometimes you see, I don't know if it's just me, but if I see children that are on their bikes or walking and I don't see any parent around, it bothers me, especially if I see like kids that like, because I know in my area, I see kids that are like 5 or 6 years old and they're
Right.
walking and I don't see a parent. And that
Right.
that hurts my heart.
Hmm.
And there was one particular child that was in my building. I had no idea where the parent was. I asked the child to come to me, and the child was friendly. So the child came to me, and I'm like, just as easily as this child came to me, that child could have been abducted.
Right.
So I kept that child with me until I found the parent. So stuff like that is tugs at my heart.
Yeah.
Now, once I start getting over the point of once I started getting to the point where I was able to get over being raped at 19, I'm 45.
Right.
Guess what happened? I got sexually assaulted at 41.
Mhm.
So it's like I'm going through the process of healing all over again.
Yeah.
And I desire marriage, but at this point I know that I'm in a process of healing. So it is very important for me to love on Tori, spend time with Tori before I can share my space with other people. And this is another thing I wanted to do as well. I believe in giving people their flowers. So I wanted to also give you your flowers for starting this podcast, because you don't know how many people you're going to impact because of this. And I want people to understand everybody has a story. And when you share your story, you don't know who you are going to be helping.
Right.
So I want to publicly say thank you for starting this. I know it's just the beginning, but I see greatness coming from this podcast because there's so many stories that people have. And I tell people to share your story. But I will say this: be cautious and pray about what you share. Don't share everything all at once, but do share your story, because what you share, someone else may be going through it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna hear from Tay. We have a caller right here. Tay, how you doing? I don't know exactly what's going on with that. Um, I hate to do this, folks. I got to take a brief break, just a few seconds. We're gonna come right back. Got my son right here. He has to go, so we're gonna be back in 30 seconds. All right. All right, we're back. Apologize for that, but I'm a father first at the end of the day. All right. If you're just joining us here on the Therapy Couch podcast, we're talking with Tori, co-worker of mine from 90.9 FM Radio Baha'i. She was telling her story, talking a little bit about some of the things that she endured, and the topic is about loving yourself. So we're going to bring Tori back in. Tori, thank you very much for being patient.
You're welcome.
Yeah, definitely potty. Look, I'm potty training my son. Those that don't know, my son is 3 years old, and when he tell you got to go, what I'm saying, I got to stop what I'm doing. So
right.
So we got to make sure.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of him for him coming up in here. So we want to make sure he stays on that right path. But
absolutely.
Yeah, but I see we have we got somebody in queue. We got Josh in queue. I want to read like some of the comments right now. Barbara says self-love doesn't come automatically. Those around us teach us how we are valued, and we internalize that. Most especially from those who are supposed to be teaching us and loving us as children. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you definitely got to reinforce that. You got to reinforce that love in children and your kids and stuff like that. I know I take a lot of pride in doing that. Telling my son, that I do love him. And my wife, she has a little affirmation thing that she does with him every day. She said, I'm kind of like with the help, you're kind, you're smart, you're important. But she comes up with these different affirmations that describe him. You're tough, you're brave, and I can do anything. That's kind of like what we do, as a family. And I think that's important for you to, affirm those type of things in kids, because I mean that can go a long way. But we're gonna go to Josh. Josh, how you doing, man? Thanks for being on the Therapy Couch podcast, man.
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, I just wanted to address something before I get into what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Notice my name is Haverkamp Harassment Chronicles. That's me.
Okay.
And that's because, remember I told you about my landlord situation?
Yeah.
So I've turned my channel into a place where I'm basically documented all the harassment I've gotten from my landlord. And my landlord's company is Haverkamp Properties. So that's what it is. And I'm making videos over there. People can check them out. But that's why I changed my name to that, in case you are wondering. Why the weird name? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, look, man, I've been there. You know what I'm saying? I've been there when you had like those landlords that, don't want to do what they need to do in order for, and give you, certain living conditions. Trust me, I've been there. I actually have a story about that. I remember like back in New Orleans, I was growing up as a kid. I couldn't have been no more than like 12 or 13. And we were renting this house from someone. And it was one day we came home and the ceiling fell in. Like you had like the roof just kind of came in, the sheetrock and all that kind of stuff there. And it was like a certain part of the kitchen. So my mom called the landlord up and was like, hey, we need to fix this. You need to fix this. They're like, okay, we're gonna bring somebody out. One day go by, 2 days go by, a week go by. She constantly called, don't get any answer. And I was getting ready for school one day, and I was trying to run to the kitchen because I had, you had like this cup, and you put it in the freezer, so you about to have like this cold water that you about to drink. So I'm trying to run and get that right before school starts, and the roof came down on me, man. Like knocked me out cold. Like I had to get stretched out of the house, right? I had and got a concussion in the process, man. But that was like one of those situations where, I can definitely understand like certain things, what I'm saying, like abuse and harassment and not doing what you need to do as far as like when a landlord is concerned, man. So I definitely understand when somebody's not doing what they're supposed to do, and also, what I'm saying, when it can be bothersome as well. I have situations that happen to me as well. But Josh, well, what are your thoughts? We're talking about loving yourself. What are your thoughts on the topic? Do you have anything that you want to add today?
Yeah. Can you hear my mic clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, man.
Okay, I've got it against my table, so I was just making sure you can hear me clearly.
I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you the thing that I struggle with as far as self-love, right? Because you know my whole backstory about being homeless, going to college. We've talked about that plenty of times, right?
Yeah, we
Um,
did.
yeah. So the thing that I struggle with is when I accomplish something huge and the people who hated on me before still like hate me. Like there's a lot of people even right in this town who, I was a homeless panhandler when I first came to this town.
Yeah.
And now they know I've graduated with honors and I've turned myself around and everything. And they're still running around town talking about what a lazy bum I am. And I mean, that's the kind of stuff. It's like, man, nothing I do, even when I accomplish something big, because that's like if you see Mike Tyson win the heavyweight championship and you're like, oh, he's still just a kid. He's never going to win the championship. And he just won the championship right in front of you, right?
Right.
So that makes me think, am I such a piece of garbage that even when I accomplish something big, it still just doesn't matter? So that's when I struggle with self-love. I used to struggle with self-love a lot more, but I've improved because I work on self-improvement and stuff. But that's when I struggle, because like when you accomplish something and people are, I don't want to say booing it, but they're just still holding on to whatever their old thought of you was. That's and I'm not trying to make people like me, but that's still, do you understand why that's a kick in the ass? It's just like, I don't know how to explain it, but that's where I get to mentally just like, even when I graduated, like the day I graduated, I saw the looks on some of the people's faces who knew who I am at the auditorium.
Right.
They didn't want to block that, man. They still wanted to keep me in that, bum panhandler's frame when they used to see me on the corner, right? So things like that are what mess with my self-esteem. So I don't know what you have to say in response to that, but that's where that's one of the things I struggle with.
Yeah.
When stuff like that happens.
Tori, I'll let you go ahead and if you want to say anything about that, your thoughts on the story that Josh told.
Well, I was actually going to say to Josh that you have to get to a point that you are delivered from other people's opinion. You cannot allow what other people think of you. You cannot allow that to affect you. That's why, like, when we do things like podcasts and we do radio and stuff, we can't pay attention to the comments, because out of all the comments, of course, they're going to be a lot of positive, but of course they're going to be negative. But you tune that out. You know who you are, and you don't live there anymore. We constantly evolve daily. So once you get to the point where you are delivered from other people's opinion, what people say about you, it's not going to even bother you. So don't let that, who you are, where you come from. And even though I'm hearing your story, I can't even see you as a homeless person. Looking at and hearing you speak and seeing you now, I don't even see that. Like, I hear the story, I hear people saying that. And even if somebody came to me and they tell me something bad about you, I'm the type of person, I get to know people for myself. Right. I don't go by what people tell me. I'm able to think for myself. So even if somebody came to me and said, Tori, Josh ain't nothing but, I'm not going to believe it. I'm going to base my judgment of you based on my experience of you. So based on just few minutes that I've met you just now, I don't even see you as a homeless person. I can't even picture you as a homeless person. So I just say, just keep advancing forward and keep that positive. Always, just like TJ was saying earlier, have those affirmations and pour into yourself daily. And a lot of times you don't need encouragement from people. Encourage yourself. And like I said, I'm a believer. If you are a believer, we are created in his image. So don't worry about what people say. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Just be delivered from other people's opinion. You don't live there anymore. That's your past.
Right.
You can start over at any moment.
Yeah. And you have, that's the thing. You have started over. And look, I don't care what you do in life. I don't care where you go. I don't care how many achievements you have. I don't care how many plaques on the wall. I don't care how many degrees on the wall. They always going to have somebody out there that's probably going to remember you probably in your lowest point, a low moment in your life, and they're going to carry that with you. It's their way to be like, man, he ain't no better than me, or she ain't no better than me. But this is where that self-confidence come in. You know where you came from. We heard your story. We know about, the homelessness and the things that you had to do and the hurdles you had to jump through in order for you to graduate from Iowa State the way that you did. So you already won, man. And you know, sometimes you have to eliminate that white noise, because sometimes we got to be careful, because we find ourselves trying to get validation from everybody. That includes the people that will never ever see us the way that we want them to see us. That is why we have to like encourage and keep on reconfirming over and over again, you know what I'm saying, the greatness that we're on the brink of, the greatness that we've achieved, and the greatness that we're going to achieve. Because a lot of these people that are taking the time out to make you feel bad is because they feel bad themselves. I've never seen a person that didn't have no level of confidence, a person that never had like anything really truly going for them, just sitting out here hating on somebody or bringing up old things that the person done or transgressions. I've never seen that, because my first question to them would be, how you got the time to do this, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, how you got the time to do this? I think about the lowest points in my life. I think about, and I will say this, at times I was a hater. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I know this. It was at the lowest points of my life when I felt like nothing was really going for me. And you know what I'm saying? I wanted to take some of that hurt and that pain off me and try to radiate off of me to them. Or, you know what I'm saying? And that's what people do. It wasn't until I actually found myself, until I stayed busy, until I stayed active, until I found purpose in my marriage, purpose with my kid, purpose in my career, is when I just stopped caring. You know what I'm saying? I just stopped caring about that, and I started focusing on the positive things in my life. You're a champion, dude. Do you not understand that? You are a champion. Those same people that saw you on the street can no longer say, yet you're there. You know what I'm saying? That you have overcame those obstacles. And a person that does not have an appreciation for where you came from to where you are now, forget them. You know what I'm saying? Like, forget them and move on. Pray for them. You know what I'm saying? That they find happiness and fulfillment in their lives, the same level of fulfillment you found in your life. And just keep it moving, man. And focus on you. Don't let that negativity radiate. Come off of them and come into your life and tear you down, man. You've come too far for that, Josh. So that's the advice I have for you.
All right. Well, before I let you guys get to your next call or whatever, I just want to say something to you about Tori. I want to thank you for like your response to me. I just, I took in every word, and I'm drinking in every word, and I'm going to, I don't want to say meditate, but I'm going to think on every word tonight. So thank you for just everything you just said to me just now.
You're welcome.
So I very much appreciate it.
You're welcome.
TJ, basically the same thing I just said to Tori, except you kicked it up a notch, like you always do. I wanted to tell you something though. I said this in the comments. I actually made myself like a self-help sort of tape.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if you wanted me to make you a copy of it and send it to you. Maybe it can bless you somehow, because I only listen to it so often because it's just the sound of my own voice. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I made like a self-help, like, I don't want to call it a tape, but like a thing with music in it and all that, and just some positive affirmation sayings. Do you want me to make a copy for you and send you one?
Yeah, man, that sounds good. And as a matter of fact, if you make me a copy, then I share it on the channel, man, so people can hear it. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's something that can, help people, you know what I'm saying, that's what it's all about. That's if you want, but if you just want to send it to me, I won't put it out there. Yeah.
No, sure. What I'll do is I'll make and sorry, I'll send you a copy too if you want. But what I'll do is I'll make it, and then I will put it in a Google Drive, and then I will send it to you. You guys both have Google Drive, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So I will make it like shareable in Google Drive once I make it. Like, I'll make it this week sometime, and then I'll send it your way. But yeah, no, this was really good, man. Like, because that's like my one sticking point. And I usually don't care what other people think. It's just when I accomplish something, that's when that caring what other people think and sadness creeps up on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that makes you human. That makes you human, Josh. Yeah. Like, I don't care. Look, you're a human being. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what you got going for you. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much prestige you have. There's going to be a point in time where you're going to actually want to be validated, or the fact that you're going to care about what somebody thinks. That just makes you human, man. Everybody goes through that. I don't care how much peace or how much zen you have in your life.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a constant practice to eliminate that stuff out of your life, man. So don't feel bad, man. That just makes you human. But the best
Right.
thing about it is for you to
Oh, hey,
know who you are, man, and keep it moving.
one more thing, man. 114 pounds off now, man, since
Oh, man.
last May. So
That's great, man.
you
That's great, man.
got another 100 to go, but it's,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Boom. All right, guys. Thanks a lot, man. I'll let you get to the next caller.
All right, Josh. Thank you
Take
so
care,
much.
Josh.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your bravery, man. Thank you. Yeah, man. Shouts out to Josh, man, being brave enough to tell his story and and talk about his feelings, man. That's what it's all about. I mean, I gotta say, man, I remember those times, right? When my lowest points when I was out here, putting that negativity into the air. You know what I'm saying? Because I was at my lowest point. I wasn't happy. I wasn't satisfied with the way my life was going. Like now it's like I don't have time for that. Like I don't have time to like just think about what somebody else is doing. I have nothing but well wishes for everybody. But it took time for
Right.
me to get to that point.
Right.
This question is actually for you. This is from Barbara. She says, "Can you tell me something that can help me overcome fear?" So Barbara is dealing with fear.
Woo!
Yes, some practices
Oh,
that you can have to help overcome fear.
woo! Overcoming fear.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question, actually.
Mhm.
Miss Barbara, for me personally, what has allowed me to reason why I don't fear anything is because of my faith. Um, Now in this world, there's so many things that's going on in the world that will cause us to have fear. We could be scared of fearful with COVID. Because I know when the pandemic first hit, there were people that didn't want to never ever leave their home. I
Mm.
know people now that still haven't left their home, haven't been to
Right.
church and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
for me, it's simple. It's just my faith because I know that God is with me
Yeah.
and that He doesn't give us the spirit of fear. Now, I'm gonna tell you when it comes to um like animals, because I'm afraid of dogs, I'm afraid of snakes. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and tell you that I could walk in, and pet a dog because I always pray first, and before I leave my home, I always pray. So it's just simple for me. I just know that in anything, God is with me and He's gonna protect me. Now, I had a discussion about death last week. A lot of times, one of my biggest things was fearing death. And
Hmm.
now I'm at a point, I'm so strong in my faith that I don't even fear death anymore
Man,
because I've learned. And of course, if you're a spiritual person and you're a believer of God, you know that when it comes to death, a lot of us, one of my things was, and I actually had a conversation with my pastor. I was
mhm.
like, my biggest thing when it came to death, I didn't want to, how sometimes you get in an accident, or you never know, you could get robbed and somebody, shoot you or something like that. But one thing about it, what gave me relief is knowing that when you are a believer and you trust in God, you know that you don't feel when you die. For
Yeah.
example, let me say this. Let me break it down to you. Like, say you are about to get robbed and say you're going to get shot. But if you're a believer, you're not going to feel the bullet. Like if that bullet is going to kill you, you're not going to feel it. And you have to believe as a believer, once you die, to be absent from the body is to be with God. But
Yeah.
if you're not a believer and you die as an unbeliever, you're going to experience that second death. So
Mm.
there's nothing on this earth now. I'm at a point now. There's nothing on this earth now that will give me that I'm afraid of. That once I conquered the fear of death, because you got to realize the fear of death is the parent of all other fears.
Right.
So if you can overcome the fear of death and you don't afraid of anything else, you'll walk with no fear. Know that God is with you at all times. So
Yeah.
that's the best I could do. I'm just a believer and I'm a believer in Christ. So that what alleviate, makes me not fear anything. And I definitely I'm not afraid of people.
Yeah. I
Not
mean,
at
look,
all.
I think that fear is just necessary. I say this all the time, and I've shouts out to my grandfather. He's a pastor. Um, he told me, he's like, fear is normal. Like we got to think about this since we're talking religion. I mean, Jesus was scared, in the Garden of Gethsemane. right? A lot of people don't understand that. Like he asked God to take that cup from him. He didn't want to go to the cross. He didn't want to die. You know what I'm saying? He know he was that fleshly body was going to hurt. But you know that when the Holy Spirit came down, he said, "Not my will, but your will be done." It gave him the confidence. So the Savior, our Savior, you know, if you're into, you know, religion, you know, he was afraid. He was nervous. You know what I'm saying? He was scared. So that nervousness and fear is going to happen. In my life personally, it happened in 2019 when I was hospitalized for a week and I got diagnosed for the first time with type 1 diabetes, and I was going through a pneumonia spell. I wouldn't have known I had diabetes if I didn't have that pneumonia spell. And I can remember like when they told me, no, it was a short period of time. I back up a little bit. It was a short period of time. They didn't know what was going on with me because I was losing blood. And, you know, my wife, she's a nurse. So she was asking the doctor, like, well, if he not bleeding from the mouth, he not bleeding anywhere else in his body, like, you know, maybe it's like, you know, leukemia or something like that. To talk to a cancer specialist and everything like that. I'm like, wow, I went from out here playing basketball, out here running, you know what I'm saying, doing all this activity to like completely like could possibly be up out of here, you know. And then, you know, at that time, Paxton was like maybe like 5 or 6 months old. And I just constantly think about what my life, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to lose my life. I want to live for him. You know, like I want to be able to live for my wife, you know, and those things scare me, you know, that I had that fear. But now it's like, you know, I don't think about those things anymore. Like you said, you know, you find yourself having the confidence and ability to face the fears that you have and to be able to address them. And it's very, very important that you do those things. And it's okay to be afraid. Like I said, everybody becomes afraid, but don't let that consume you to a point where you just completely shut down. You completely like forget about and lose sight of yourself. You still have that level of appreciation for yourself and still have that love, and don't be afraid to, you know, be vulnerable, and don't be afraid to like address the issue to be able to fix it. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. You know, they walk around, they act as if the problem don't exist, and they think, oh man, it's just gonna go away eventually. But sometimes you got to look in the mirror and address that in order for you to clean yourself up and make yourself feel much better about your life and some of the things that you're going through. But I'm gonna go ahead and we got Mike on the line right here. Mike, thank you so much for being here, buddy. The third time here with me, second time on a Therapy Couch podcast, but really do appreciate it, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
That's good, man. What you got for us?
Well, to your point, ever since my grandma died at the beginning of what month this is right now.
All right, I'll mute you right quick. Speaking of dogs, just let me know when you're ready, Mike, and we'll get you back on. You good? Okay. All right. What you got for us, man?
Sorry, my dog was probably saw something. But yeah, he just left the room. But yeah, basically, to your point of death, can you please be quiet for once? So basically, death. My grandma died, I think, at the beginning of June. Yeah, it was June 1st, I think, at 1 a.m. That's what my mom said. And ever since that point, you know, I was, you know, every single night when I went to bed, I was like, what if it happens to me tomorrow? What if something happens? But then, you know, sometimes I just turn on the TV and then I just think to myself, you know, of all different things, and then sometimes it, you know, just doesn't bother me anymore, you know, because you know, sometimes I am scared of the dark, I am scared of death, but then you just gotta just suck it in and
Move forward.
Yeah, exactly, man. You just gotta like think of all the things that make you happy, because obviously if you are a person that likes life, obviously you want to live forever, but unfortunately you just can't do that. That's not an option. So you just gotta, as you were saying, you just gotta have faith in God and stuff like that. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's true, Mike. Look, man, with your grandmother, I know for a fact, like she wants you to live. You know, she wants you to live life to the fullest. She wants you to enjoy life. And that doesn't mean like forget about the memory. You know, like you should always cherish those memories, but cherish like the positive things, and don't get like so down to a point where, you know, you just become like just so sad you can't get yourself back up. I mean, losing somebody is tough. You know, it's just one of those things where, you know, people say, you know, it's hard to get, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to get over. I mean, you never get over it, you know, but you have to find that strength to be able to press on. And I told you, you know, finding things to, you know, get your mind, you know what I'm saying, focused, because you was talking about some of the things that you actually do. And you know, I was telling you about, you know, being on a podcast, you know, contributing. You know, you're a Saints fan, you know what I'm saying? You own a podcast with me most of the time as well. You know, find different outlets that can occupy your time, where you won't just find so much time just to grieve, you know, and when you feel those moments, you know what I'm saying, you have something that you can actually go to and be able to, you know, address it and move on. And you know what I'm saying, and it just like I said, it just would not consume you as much. I just feel like most people, they get into depression, and I'm speaking for myself, you get into depression, you get down when you have absolutely nothing going for you, or you feel like, oh man, I'm so down. What's the point of getting up?
Yeah.
It's just gonna be another day of failure. Nah, man, you can't think like that. Every day that you are here is an opportunity for you to be great, not just to exist, but to be great, to do something that you didn't do yesterday. Because every opportunity that you have when you wake up in the morning is not just day number 1,000 or 2,000, how old you is, that you've been alive and been in existence. It's an opportunity for you to be a better version of you every single day. And, you know, I don't squander no day at all. Don't squander any of your days. Have an appreciation for your life. And when you decide to like lay down at the end of the day, you can say, I accomplished something today. I don't care if it was, man, I raked some leaves and I put them in a trash bag or something. like you achieved something. So don't ever feel like you just squandered a day. Find something that happened in the course of the day that you can have an appreciation for.
Exactly, you know, because I'm not gonna lie, when my grandma died, her funeral, what was it? She died on June 1st, so I think her funeral was the next Friday or Saturday. It was the next Saturday after that. And to be honest with you, every night when I went to bed, sometimes I would tear up. Like if you're a person that doesn't care about the family, even when the family dies, then you're just a bad person apparently. But yeah, in my opinion, you know, but then there's just one guy. All right, I think my mom left to do something, and there was just one guy that walked over. Right, I was sitting in like the front pew. There was just one guy that walked over that basically explained what you just said, man. Just think about the happy moments, and obviously, when someone does pass, the only thing they can think about is that her or his life is done. So there's no time to think. And to be honest, I never even thought about that. All I was doing was just crying myself to sleep every night. But then, you know, that when that guy told me, so yeah, then I started, you know, thinking about, you know, happy moments. So, you know, it was an emotional month, you know. I think it wasn't until like probably around the last week of June that I actually got over it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you're a person that lost a loved one, you know, like, but like if you lost a person that you love, obviously it's gonna be tough, all right, man, because I lost my grandfather 2 years ago, and I lost obviously my grandma at the beginning of June.
Yeah.
But so just think about the happy moments. For example, like I just basically went through every year of my life and just thought about some specific days. So that just it made me feel a little bit better. So
Well, that's good. That's what you do. You think about the positive moments. Before I move on, I want to get Tori's thoughts on that. What are your thoughts about, you know, what Mike is talking about? dealing with the loss of somebody or something. What advice would you give to him?
I was just going to tell Mike that you're going to have to allow yourself the time. One thing about that I'll say with grief, because I deal with death, I deal with it. I have a hard time dealing with death, but sometimes you have to give yourself grace as well. There's no time frame on your grief process, but just like TJ said, don't consume yourself in it. But you have to understand grief comes in waves. Some days you're going to be low and some days you're going to be high, meaning some days you're going to be sad. And then in some days just focus on the memories and you'll think about those happy moments, but don't allow yourself to get so deep into the grief that you sink into a hole. Because and what I mean by that is, like, I had a friend that passed away last year and I just saw this person before they passed away. And like that first week when they first passed, I just stayed in the bed like all week. Don't let your grief consume you to the point where you just letting yourself go and letting the grief consume you, but also allow the grief. It's gonna come in waves. It's gonna come in highs and lows. You're gonna have your good and your bad days, and there's gonna be some times where you go, like, you think of the happy moments and you be okay, and then of course it's gonna come crashing one day and you're gonna just be sad. But allow yourself to feel what you need to feel, because it's gonna like I said, come like waves, and sometimes it'll hit you out of nowhere, and then you may be watching something on TV and you're triggered. You may see someone and you're triggered, but allow yourself those moments, but focus on the happy memories. Don't focus on the death itself. And I tell people all the time, like, after a funeral is when people need you the most, because you know how a lot of times when people first die, the family comes around. But when the funeral and everything is finalized, that's when people need you the most.
Yep.
So just allow yourself that grieving process and don't rush it, because sometimes people tell you you're not over that yet. No, you give yourself time to go through your process. It's gonna go up and down.
Exactly, man. Like, because honestly, to be honest with you, I actually almost died twice in my life, to be honest. I'm not joking. One time I almost choked myself to death, and the second time I got into a nasty car accident because of stupid ditches. So ever since then, I've been scared of ditches. So whenever I see a ditch, I tell my mom to drive away from that ditch. So yeah, I honestly should have been gone a long time ago, but you know, I got more chances. So
you got more chances. That's not by coincidence either. You know, you have a purpose, man. I mean, you've I've had several times where I talk to you, and I can tell you wise beyond your years, and you got a gift, man. Like, you have a gift to be able to make people feel, like that. Like, when you have that level of, I mean, when you got that I call it a anointing or a touch. You know what I'm saying? Like, it comes with a purpose, and I just feel like by you being here, you have. I mean, you young, you haven't even touched the surface of what your purpose actually is right now. But I mean, I like Tori was saying, focus on the positive things. I can remember, like, my great aunt passing away. That's my grandfather's oldest sister, and like, she's like the matriarch of the family. Like, she was the, like, undisputed. Like, she was she's the firstborn of my grandfather, and I can remember, like, man, she was just so full of strength. Every time she'll go in church, she'll have a little hat on, she'll be doing a little dance. And the thing about it was, when she passed away, it really hurt, but there was this moment, I don't care, like, every time she saw me, she would grab both of my cheeks and press them up, like, real close to her, and she'll look into my eyes, because she said I look so much like my great grandfather. And she said, every time I look at you, it's like I'm looking at him again. And I take that with me. My grandfather, like, his brothers always tell me, like, out of, like, all the other kids, I look the closest to my great grandfather. And I never, like, really just thought about it until, like, she passed away. And that's a moment that anytime I feel, like, sad or think about her, like, that's a moment that I take with me and I cherish. That moment where I don't care where I'm at, she be like, where Tim at? And then, look into my eyes. And then she'll just kind of look away, kind of teary-eyed. But that's a moment that sticks with me. So I'm pretty sure you have several moments like that, Mike, that you can hold on to with your grandmother. and take those moments, man, and never let them go. And
exactly, because
and-
like there's these like back in the day, I want to say probably for like a couple of years, man. Like my favorite thing to do was always to play cards with my grandmother. All right, where we could play games like Uno, Go Fish, stuff like that.
Yep.
And as soon as she died, like a couple weeks later, I just basically all I did, man, I was just thinking about those moments and stuff like that, man. So obviously, it is tough, when someone passes away, but always think about those moments, even if you never get a chance to say goodbye to them, just always remember those small moments,
Yeah, remember those moments and cherish them. But Mike, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. And you can call back anytime, no matter what podcast it is, man. I appreciate you, for sharing your story. And man, we're here for you, man. We're here to talk to you, and we're gonna get through this together, all right? All right, take care, man. Yeah, man. Mike, this is the second week. He called the show last week, and also my sports podcast. He's a diehard Saints fan, just like myself, so he knows football too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I tell you, like he's a really good kid, and like I said, he has a gift that very few young kids at his age have, and I think that, like you said, there's no coincidence that all the things that happen in his life, he's still here. I mean,
right.
There's still work to be done. Hey, it's supposed to hurt, and it hurts. Okay, you're talking about death, I believe. I want to scroll back up because said, man, TJ, I love what you're doing on this podcast. Let's talk about the ish. We learn most our mistakes and the mistakes of others who that one love. And it says, man, don't worry about the dog. I want to throw it down because Amy was talking about some of the things that he been through, and I wanted to kind of share that. I want to make sure that, because I was listening to Mike and looking at the comments at the same time, but it was just talking about some of the things that they went through. Let's see. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna probably scroll down and I'll catch it. But let's read some of the other comments. There's my mom right here. She said, Mike, you are strong and special. Keep your head up, young man. And Barbara says, Mike, you are a flower in the process of unfolding. Yeah, I mean, look, we all go through stuff, and sometimes and sometimes the stuff that we go through, it hit harder than others. But we got to be able to find strength, inside to be able to move on from that. I mean, I understand about how, depression can consume you. I understand about being in that bed, and don't want to get out, and somebody pull back the covers or pull back the curtain, like, man, nah, close it back, turn the light on. But
Right.
you don't want to stay in that position. You don't want to stay in that position. I'm trying to see if we have any more comments, but Tori, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you for being a part of the Therapy Couch podcast. I know a lot of the people in the comments, and they shared how much they enjoyed you being here, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, and just want to give you an opportunity to tell everyone about your podcast that you have that's available right now.
Sure. My podcast is Keep the Faith Podcast. You can follow me on Facebook, Keep the Faith, or you can follow me on YouTube, Keep the Faith with Tori. And basically, like I say, I'm a believer, and most of my podcasts doesn't necessarily be centered around faith, but a lot of the people that I have that share their story, it talks about, some people, they talk about, redemption, like different things that people have gone through.
Right.
Sometimes it's testimonies, and sometimes I share some wisdoms here and there. But for the most part, I try to do them on Sunday evenings at 6:30 p.m. and I do them once a week. Now, last week, like if a storm comes or something like that, since we're doing it virtual now, I don't always do it if a storm, because we're virtual like TJ and I are tonight. So if there's a storm, I'm not gonna risk my life to do a podcast. but for the most part, I try to do the podcast on Sundays. Because, matter of fact, I have a podcast coming up this coming Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, and like I said, it's a range of different topics. And I always tell people that if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, you can email me at faithisnecessary@gmail.com, or you can call me or text me at 843-920-8124. I would love to have you. And even if you have a topic suggestion, I'm open to that as well. But I like to talk about, like I said, my podcast is Keep the Faith, but I also like to talk about real life issues, relationships, whatever that you want to talk about. But I love the fact that TJ is doing this because, like I said, so many people go through so many things, and a lot of times, as a believer, I will say this: sometimes believers don't think that we need therapy, but you pray.
Ooh, yes, sir.
But sometimes praying it ain't enough. You got to talk to somebody too and take therapy. Like, therapy is necessary. So if you're at a point and you're praying, you don't see things happening, don't feel bad if you need to talk to somebody. Because therapy in Jesus equals healing.
It's funny you say that, because people have a tendency of kind of coinciding therapy with lunacy, like something wrong with you or something like that. Look, sometimes you can't talk to the people that close to you. So I'm gonna be real. Like, sometimes, like, you need that undisputed, person that's like right down the middle that can help you. Because sometimes, your family loves you, but sometimes there can be a level of bias. Or sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, you can be the strongest person. So when you're the strongest, people look for you for the strength. Like, you can't be down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have moments for yourself because everybody looking at you like you the great source of, great source of, I gotta fix my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, but in the process, like, your life need to be fixing too. I mean, you get sad, you get depressed, you get down. So I don't care how strong you think you are, you still need an outlet to be able to, vent and address those problems, even if some of the things that you may be going through that may be going through your mind may be a little bit, kind of silly in your eyes. But I mean, to be able to get that stuff out, it's tough, like, to have a lot of things going on in your life and not have an outlet. Like, I'm telling you, like, podcasting, broadcasting, my son right here, like things like that just helps you, to be able to move forward. It's therapeutic. So you need that outlet, man. Don't ever just feel like, man, I just got it all together. And if you do, that's cool. But don't forget about yourself. If you ain't learned nothing we talked about here on this podcast, find some time for you to love you, to put yourself first. And there's nothing wrong with being a little selfish every now and then, because you got to be, in order for you to be able to go out here and be able to be functional on a consistent basis without letting the world like just get to you. So hope everybody, enjoyed the podcast tonight. I see some, people still commenting, but Tori, I mean, I'll just take this moment to go ahead and let you go. But if you want to stay for a few more minutes while I can just wrap this up.
Listen, I don't have anything I got going on.
Okay. I don't want to hold you up. I ain't said
no, I'm fine. I'm good. I'll hang out for a few, but I also, like I said, I want you to keep pushing forward, because what you're doing is awesome, and it's an outlet for some people that may not feel comfortable reaching out to a therapist. There may be someone may come on the podcast and share their story, and that may be help for them, or people that are watching in the audience, this is helping them. So like I said, just keep pushing forward. I know this just is the beginning, but I see great things happening. And what I love to and this is some other things that I wanted to say, and I had a list of things I want to tell you once we started, but the conversation it took a life of its own.
I told you that.
I wanted to point out to you that a lot of times in society, me being a single person, sometimes if I believed God believed it, got into the hype of what I see in the world, I would get discouraged when it came to love. But what I love about you is how you openly love your wife. I love how you are there for your son. I wanted to point that out as well, because when I watched your other episode and you were talking about fatherhood and stuff, I myself am a single parent, and my son's father is not a part of his life. So it is beautiful for me to see you showing your son love, and you're active in his life. You're there. You're hands-on. My son hasn't spoken to his father in years. And it's not that his father is still living. And that's the sad part.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, not only are you doing a wonderful job professionally, but I'm proud of what you're doing as a family man, as being a good, devoted husband, and being there for your child. It gives me inspiration. Like I said, I'm single and I've been through some trauma, but I do desire marriage one day. And when my husband finds me, I pray that he has some of the qualities that you have, that he's attentive, he's focused on one person, because a lot of times there are men out here, they say they want a wife, but they're not ready, but they're not ready to be a husband.
Yeah.
So I just commend you for that. Like I said, you have been an awesome person from the time I've met you, and you are a man of your word. And like I said, I appreciate everything that you are doing. And I see this podcast being huge. Now, I'm not, and then I'm going to say this. I'm going to put my little 2 cents when it comes to sports. I follow who that, but I'm a Steelers fan.
Oh, now you, you was doing so well. You don't want to, you don't want that. I'm just kidding. Look, hey, I completely understand. There's got some Steelers fans that hop on the podcast every now and then. We see in the chat. You don't want, nah, but seriously. Oh, look. First off, I'm gonna rewind this part of the show back to my wife when she get home. But no, seriously. There's nothing more important in my life than being, first, being a Christian, having faith, and being a father and a husband. I say that all the time. Like, it's no joke, it's no facade. Like, I love my wife, I love my son. And I have a very loving mother. I mean, as you can see, my mom in the comments right now. Like, she's real supportive.
Yes.
And I didn't have my father in my life, but my mom loved me enough for a man and a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, she loved me enough. But I look at people like my grandfather, who has been with my grandmother, I want to say about 58 or 59 years. And I see how he's just the undisputed patriarch of our family, and how much respect and adulation everybody has for him. And I look at that and I'm like, it's attainable, and I just want to be a part of my son's life. I just want him to know who I am. I want, to share like moments with him. Watching him grow is like one of the greatest things ever in my life. And just, being there for him, like, to, be able to tell him about things, that he needs to know growing up, as a young man. So I take a lot of pride in it, and I appreciate you for saying that. I really do, but it means a lot to me, both of them. And they're the reason for my being, and they motivate me to be who I am today. Amy, I want to say he's under his mom's account. His name is Daniel. It says, I hate men that speak on how sharp their teeth or how big. What's going on here? What's going on? What are we doing? I like to pretend in sprint. Okay, we're gonna scroll down. I don't know exactly where we were going with that. I don't know if it was bad or good. I'm just gonna stop. We do therapy because we ourselves recognize something is wrong in us. I'm sorry, Daniel. I don't know exactly where we was going with that. I don't know if it was going to end good, but I'm like, hey, man. TJ, do you know how to change my voice and make it sound like someone else when I send you that self-help tape? I want to listen to it, but don't want to listen to my own voice. Hey man, look, check this out. Tori, do you does it bother you to listen to your own voice? Because that's one of the biggest issues. You talking to the right people here.
Honestly, I don't listen to my voice because on the church announcements,
Right.
my voice is like on a lot of the announcements, and I'm like sick of hearing myself. So I'm at this point, I'm recruiting other people so I can hear their voice. So no, I don't like listening to myself.
Yeah.
So during the day, if I listen to the radio, I don't listen when I'm on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, I told you, like at the beginning, I'm not trying to just, stroke your ego. I think you have one of the look. I encourage everybody. She's on the air right now. You can stream at radiobaha'i.us and just listen. And I'm telling you, she got the best voice in radio to me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Thank you.
I mean, just it's dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, but as far as like listening, I don't like listening to myself. I don't. I feel like I have to because I want to learn like the mistakes that I'm making, but sometimes I'm like, man, I'm just gonna give it to you the way it is. You don't like it, cut it off. But yeah. But I mean, look, you get used to it, especially like when you start doing like different like podcasts and then voice, voice tracks like we normally do sometimes. You kind of get used to it. But
so let me ask you this, TJ, when you do your podcast, do you go back and watch the replay of your podcast?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Because
that's something else I can't do.
I don't listen to see the mistakes because I mean, look, I'm from New Orleans. I can't talk, you know what I mean? but it's different. It's different like when I'm on the air. You kind of want to be a little clear versus your own platform. I mean, I drop all, you know what I'm saying, all the, the colloquialisms and whatnot. I just kind of laid back. It's more so about the flow of the show. Like,
right.
How well is the flow? Like that's what I listen for. If I feel like it's a good flow, then I'll be fine. I don't have an issue with that at all. But as far as going back listening to the whole thing, nah, I don't. The only thing I go back and listen to are interviews. Like if I do interviews with people, I go back and listen to it because I want to make sure that I'm not repeating the same thing as I go into a question.
Right.
I try to like catch myself for doing that. So, but besides that, I don't go back and listen. I just like people say they enjoy it. We almost at 10,000 subscribers. People talk about they enjoy the content, so that's all that matters to me.
Right.
Barbara says, long as she doesn't say Cowboys, Falcons, or 49ers, we straight. Okay, you good then. You good. Okay. Don't say nothing. You quit while you're ahead. Don't find reason why you like any of those teams. Why everybody here is Team Tory right now. If not, we're gonna have to wrap this show up abruptly. But we're gonna go ahead and end the show. We'll end the show with my guy Chosen, man. Chosen, how you doing, man?
What's going on, TJ? How you doing, Miss Tor?
Hi, how are you? Why are you not showing yourself today?
Nah, not tonight. It's a little rough for me tonight. It's that work week. It's early in the work week. It's not looking good. But TJ, man, I want to know. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the beginning of the show. I'm kind of catching it late, but I did touch on when you were speaking about strength and speaking about self and taking time for yourself. That is very important because
man,
when my mom passed in August of 2021 due to COVID, rest in peace, Mom. When my mom passed of August, and people look for you, man, you okay? It's okay to break down. I guess you could say I'm one of the strong ones in my family who everybody looks to. When things go wrong, they look for me for comforting. When relationships, and even though I can't, even me being single and having past relationship problems and things like that, I'm still the one they go to. I feel like I'm the answer. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I tell them, man, I'm not, a counselor. I just can only speak based on my beliefs and what I feel, but still I always was looked at as that pillar or that guidance. But the thing is, we do sometimes need an outlet. We need somebody to in, and we need that shoulder to cry on too. We may not always show it, and we may not always embrace that role because we like, man,
Right.
I can't do this right now. It's not a good time. I need to be strong, and especially as men, when we're dealing with a lot of testosterone and egos, we feel like it's weak to show emotions, and we feel like we can't cry, we can't be emotional. When really, man, that's really the problem. Ourselves. It starts with self and it ends with self.
Yeah.
We too afraid to let ourselves be human. You know what I'm saying? We don't always have to be Superman. We don't always have to put on this facade as if nothing's wrong. You know what
Man.
I'm saying? And you can only take so much with that building up on you as a person, as a man, as a human being. And we forget that it's okay because we beat ourselves day after day and hour after hour telling ourselves, you gotta be strong, you gotta be strong. When sometimes it's okay to let loose and take a break, but just don't stay, like you say, TJ, just don't stay in that state of pity and depressed and on that darkness, because you know at the end of the tunnel is light, is strength. And also, I don't know if you made it to my comment yet, but I also wrote in the comment section that every L that we take is not a loss, it's a lesson. I'm learning to embrace my goals and embrace my tribulations because they're a test. I feel like God gave his test to the strongest angels. And I feel like that only time that we go through things is just to see how we react. Like, you know what?
I think we lost him. But feel free to chime back in, Chosen, once
You're getting good
you get
too.
back.
While Chosen One is coming back, let me just say to Miss Barbara, you see her comment, TJ? she read my mind. She read my mind.
You don't say nothing. We really gonna have to end this show. I'm telling you, man. Chosen, finish your point, man.
Yeah, man. But basically, man, my point is, man, that sometimes we just gotta embrace what we're going through because experience is the best teacher. It's not always a loss. It's a lesson. We're gonna get through it, and we just gotta embrace it, and just also knowing that it's okay to give in. We can't stay down long. You know, we just gotta recognize what it is and learn from it and move from it, and use that knowledge to save somebody else from going through that or help somebody get out of that tough time. That's pretty much all I got to say, though, man.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I pick it back off something you say, man, especially like being a black man.
Yes,
like
sir.
We have like this whole stereotype, like we got to be tough. We got to be harder than brick. You know what I'm saying? Harder than, you know what I'm saying? Like steel. Or like we can't really show no emotions or we consider it as weak. Like, man, bump all that, man.
And
Look,
you know what, TJ? One thing a rapper once said.
Man.
I know familiar with Kevin Gates, before he started wilding. But he once said something in an interview that really made sense to me. You know what I'm saying? And I thought about it because he grew up in Local, my favorite rapper at one point. But he said something. He said, man, is you a gangster all the time? Like you a gangster with your kids? You a gangster when the lights are off, you at home, you just waking up like Cat Williams say, is you gang banging on breakfast?
Right. Gang banging on bacon.
Yeah, gang banging on bacon. Like, bro, like it's okay, like to lower that shield, take that arm off. You not at war every single time. It's okay to confide and relax and get ready for the next battle. You don't have to be in battle mode throughout the day. Relax, recuperate, and get ready because you got to take care of yourself. Because how you gonna take care of somebody else if you can't take care of yourself? You know what I'm saying? So put yourself straight, sweep around your own front door, and everything gonna be all right, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, man. And thank you for those comments, man. I know somebody gonna be touched by what you said, and I appreciate it, Chosen. Thank you for chiming in, brother.
Thank you for allowing me.
Say this too. Wow, Chosen is on. We'll say to Chosen and you, TJ, and to men in general. I want you guys to understand that real women appreciate men that cry because, of course, as boys, you guys are taught, oh, don't cry, man up. No, it's okay to cry. And like Chosen said earlier, it's okay not to be okay. But it's like we live in this world where, and I have male friends that say they don't want to cry. I'm like, why? I mean, a real woman is gonna allow you not only allow you to cry, but to cry on their shoulder. And we're not gonna throw it up in your face because that does not make you weak. And a
Yeah.
lot of, like I said, some men think because they cried, it does not, because there's certain, and it doesn't necessarily have to all the time be crying due to death. There's life situations that break you down, and you have to cry. And like
Yeah.
I said to the men out there listening, a real woman is going to allow you to cry on her shoulder, and she's not going to throw it up in your face. So
Yeah.
allow yourself those vulnerable moments to cry.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I
just want to
agree.
say that.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, understand that you're human. I
Yeah.
don't be crying by everything now, though.
Yeah, not only yeah, if you cry about everything, that's a problem.
No, but no, but seriously, like it's okay to show like levels of vulnerability. I just think that people just don't understand that. Like you don't have to be strong all the time. Like
Right.
I think that honestly that takes your relationship to me to a different level. You're willing to express that type of emotion with somebody that you actually care about. You
Right.
shouldn't be ashamed of that. And I
Right.
feel like if somebody is making you ashamed of that, maybe y'all need to evaluate what y'all
Exactly.
doing.
And Miss Barbara, I'm not gonna say anything. Miss Barbara, I love you. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, Mama said she don't want the show to end. Mom, we're gonna have to cut this. We're gonna have to run the show. It's gonna have to reach an end. And I think we reached that point. But thank you so much for being a part of the Therapy Couch podcast. Tori, once again, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you to everybody that chimed in. Thank you for your bravery. Thank you for your bravery. Rather, you called in, gave comments. We really do appreciate that. Don't feel like you don't matter. Your thoughts matter. You matter. Okay, and this is what this platform is all about. It's not about trying to air out people dirty laundry. It's not about trying to know everybody's business. This is a cleansing podcast, and this is a podcast where you can come and there's a safe space where you can talk and express yourself and vent about whatever you want to. This is what it's all about here. Feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com. Search Therapy Couch Podcast. Also available on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. And once again, Tori, let everybody know how they can get in touch with your podcast as well.
You can follow me on Facebook, Keep the Faith, or you can also follow me on YouTube, Keep the Faith with Tori. You can also email me at faithisnecessary@gmail.com. You can call or text me at 843-920-8124. That's 843-920-8124. And I can look forward to hearing from you. And I'm actually on Instagram as well, Keep the Faith Podcast on Instagram as well. I'm not too hard to find.
You see how towards the end of that the dialogue that she just did, that a little bit of that's how what she sound like over there. they got a little bit of it, man. But look, I just had to mess with you though. But once again, thank you, Tori. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Definitely
everybody.
have me back, because I really enjoyed the flow of the show.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, we definitely want to have you back, and I really enjoyed it. But you already know, I mean, in time like what this like I don't say second time doing a podcast, so it's always fun to do a podcast with you. I appreciate it. And once again, thank y'all once again. We really do appreciate the time. Be happy and be healthy.